Welcome to Two Guys, Three Crowns, the podcast that talks about what it's really like to live in Stockholm, Sweden. I'm Sean, and with my fellow American Rodney, we break down the good, the bad, and the just plain weird. It's quite the journey, so join us for the ride.
Vad du, Ingen det där, ingen det här. Vad du, I can't even explain how many times I've heard this song even before we left to Portugal, and now that we're back, baby, it's
Bring it.
Permanently ingrained onto my brain gray cells.
Hey, where did that?
So
where did
this
that
is
gem?
Volleybompa Baby on the SVT app,
Oh,
SVT Barn app.
okay.
So it's all this. It's like them playing peekaboo, an animated Volleybompa, and like the little puppets.
Yeah.
Where are you? Ooh, 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 ooh. You are not here. You are not there. Where are you? Peekaboo. That's basically the translation.
Sean, you're back though. You're back.
I'm back.
You're
back and
back.
tanner than ever, baby.
There we go.
Got my fill of bacalhau.
Ooh,
Had some port. Was up in Porto, as you know.
right.
Hit the beaches. Yeah, it was a good trip.
And it was a short trip. It was very short and intense. You had like a week of mega.
Oh yeah, it was 4 days and then 4 days. So 4 days in technically Lisbon.
Okay.
But really, I didn't realize it was kind of like its own distinct kind of place. We were in this area called Cascais, which is like much more of a beach area. Kind of the suburbs of Lisbon is kind of how I would describe it. Kind of.
Okay.
It had that kind of feeling. So it's greater Lisbon, but then it wasn't like, in the city. Whereas when we were in Porto, that was in the middle of the city.
Middle. Okay.
Yeah. So that was like, I see you brought a stroller. These cobblestone streets don't care at all.
Yeah.
And the hills, and that was interesting to say the least. A lot of Ubers.
Hey, speaking of cobblestone streets, so when we went south from Aarhus, Lena and I did a day trip down to Ystad. Ystad is about as south as you can get in Sweden. Ystad. Y-S-T.
I thought Copenhagen was as far south as you could get in Sweden.
No, see, now you're getting kind of... But Ystad is actually... it's about as south as you can go. But anyway, we took a day trip. But one of the things, and I'm pretty sure it was Ystad when we were coming in, I mean, it's not just cobblestone sidewalks or cobblestone streets when you get to like the downtown area. I mean, once you hit like the outer limits of the town, everything is cobblestone. I mean, like it's all so all of a sudden just like but
Yeah.
it was
Dylan loves that part. He just goes
right
the whole time.
One quick thing, just while we get started here, I intentionally wore a shirt that people would see that I actually own several shirts. I don't just have a blue shirt and a black shirt. As I went back and started looking at some of the recordings that we've done, I'm like, man, people are going to think I only got like one shirt. So
And half of them say CCM on them.
exactly. Hey, so I went B-Town heavy today, but that's
So
that's
podcasting a notoriously visual format. He is wearing a bright, like I'm having to turn my volume up just to hear Rodney over the color of his shirt.
of my shirt.
This bright tie-dye T-shirt with Barkley blazoned across in big collegiate block
Got
letters.
my stuff. So yes, I do have two T-shirts. This is the other one.
Well, 3 T-shirts technically: the blue one, the black one, and then the tie-dye one.
Actually, the black and the blue one are the same shirt. I just flip them inside out. No. Hey, but you had a good trip. I mean, it was sunny.
Yeah, man.
And
So, well, in Lisbon, Cascais, it was super sunny. The beaches there are super windy. It's weird.
Okay.
Like, it's like they say, you know how when you go in the water and then you come back on the beach, if you sit in the sand, then you get coated in the sand?
Right.
So Brazilians at least I don't know about the Portuguese, but the Brazilians, they'll say Milanese. Like you've become Milanese. Like you look like a bread coated piece of schnitzel.
Right.
Like you're Milanese
Yeah.
because you're coated in the sand. So it was like that, but you didn't even have to go in the water because the wind was blowing sideways and you just got coated in this fine dusting of breadcrumb / sand.
But that sounds, that sounds like it could potentially be painful. I mean,
exfoliating, very exfoliating. But the beaches were great. The water was cold, but after you were in there for like 30 seconds, you were fine. It wasn't that bad. But yeah, when we went to Porto, it was a bit more cloudy. But then like around 3:00 every day, the sun would kind of break through. But yeah, lots of little like wine bars and cool little like specialty shops and vintage stores in Porto, and like it's definitely got a vibe to it. And it's weird because you can see it's on this like craggy hillside that goes right into the river that splits down the middle. Yeah. And you can see where over the hundreds of years it's been built on top of itself, like repeatedly, and like everything's kind of mismatched and all that stuff. So it's very, very cool. Highly recommend it for a city break. Not necessarily if you have a toddler. Okay. But very cool.
Hey, did you did you touch bases with Tiago about?
So he sent an email through with some tips. So we definitely got. I think we hit more of the tips in Porto because we were really in the city. In Lisbon, it was kind of like we were on the outside, so to go in, it was a bit more difficult. And then everyone, like we were there with Renata's cousins from Ireland, and they were like, "It's been gray since last year. All we want to do is go to the beach and get sun."
Yeah.
So we spent a lot of time on the beach, and hit up a couple places there. But yeah, Porto, we did like the main sites. Went around, saw the church of the. I'd have to look up the name, but it's like all the main kind of big old school buildings. Funny story that I'm about to get to, but we had like this bacalhau is like a salt cod. So in the grocery store, it's these big sides of cod, like the whole side of cod, that's been salted and packed and seasoned and all that kind of thing, to the point that it's bone dry, like fish jerky. Right. And my light's going crazy in here. I got like an exorcist thing. Normally it's dark and the light wants to turn on. I'm like, what are you doing up in here? So like they'll just have these giant pieces of salt cod hanging up in the grocery store. And it's like you walk past that aisle and you're like, ooh, they either got some funky cheese going on or they got salt cod down that aisle.
Yeah.
And then, of course, you go walking past the liquor and wine selection. I mean, we went into one grocery store. It was like a Walmart plus. Okay. Like the size of it. And then they had like, just to give you an idea, I sent you the picture of happy hour.
Yes, I have it right here in front of me.
I was just like, what are we doing here, man? What are we doing?
€1.
But then like a bottle of gin was $15, 15 euros there. The same exact bottle of gin here in Sweden would be 20. But Porto, or Lisbon, actually, that's EU. They already include VAT in the price. But you would have to take the VAT included price and then add 25% to get to the
on top of that
Stockholm, Sweden prices. I'm just like, man,
your Swedish
everything was so cheap, man. I couldn't believe it.
Yeah,
like Renata got a pair of sneakers for like 40 euros or something like that, like Nikes. Yeah. And then like a bottle of wine, if you were paying more than like 10 euros, like 10 euros was like, oh, you're getting a fancy wine now.
Wow. Yeah.
It was just crazy, man. It was highly enjoyable. But we're walking around Porto doing the sights and seeing everything. And, because Renata's cousin's wife, so cousin-in-law, is that a thing? I don't know.
It is now.
She actually lived there for a year. She was doing she's a dentist. So any kind of medical thing, when you go from continent to continent or country to country, you have to recertify yourself and all that. So she was doing that kind of thing at the university there. So she knew all the places to go and how to walk around the city and all that. And we're going through the middle of town, kind of through one of the probably more touristy areas near the university and all that kind of stuff. And we see like one of the town crazies, like one of these guys that wakes up. You have them here in Stockholm too. Wakes up, sits outside the Systemet, like waiting for the liquor store to open so they can get their bottle, and then they get drunk and
they're happy again.
Half homeless, half you're not really sure. In the States, in Florida, coming from Florida boy, you'd be like, that guy's on meth. Like stay away from that dude. You know what I mean? But he's, for no reason, we're walking through trying to cross streets and figure out where the crosswalks are because cobblestone.
Right.
And this guy's like, see, Dodge, this city is all full of itself, blah, blah, blah. And he looks like he's screaming at a bus. And I'm like, okay, some police officer probably just said you can't sleep here or something like that. And he's just yelling at anything to do with official government capacity, right?
Sure.
No, he was pissed off at that bus because next thing we know, he has a cobblestone from the street, from the sidewalk, in his hands, and he throws it at the window, and it, boom! It doesn't
shatters
go through, but it dents the window. The window goes in, and then there's like a hole in the window. So like it's obviously like automotive glass, so it doesn't like shatter everywhere.
Sure.
But still, then the bus like screeches to a stop, and everyone's like, "Oh shit!" And then like everyone's like, "What's gonna happen? What's gonna happen?" And Hinata's like, "Let's get out of here. Let's go. Go. Across the street, get to where we're going." And I'm like, "Yeah, but I want to see what's going on." Right. And then I'm like, "What is the bus driver gonna do? Is he just gonna sit there and call the cops and block traffic?" No. The bus driver gets out, and then they start screaming at each other from like probably 25 feet apart from each other.
Yeah.
And then the bus driver is like, "Oi, oi, oi." And then he starts running at the guy, and the guy takes off like around the corner. It was craziness.
Well, see, that's a vacation story.
I'm like, that's some local flavor. That's what I'm here to see.
There you go. There you go. Oh, man. Hey, whatever.
Don't mess with the bus drivers; they'll come after you. That's
unbelievable. That's the flavor. You're like, so anyway, we found the guy. We have lunch with him. He is really upset. No,
he has some points to make with the city. I think we should introduce him to the council members.
Hey, I got a quick question for you. Now, the Olympics officially started on Friday.
Yes.
Right. I mean, we had some pre-stuff going on. Sweden, USA, women's soccer, kind of a little bit. But did you feel any of that happening? I mean, did you feel any of the?
I didn't realize when the opening ceremony was until like I checked the BBC. Yeah, and they were like, "Oh, live tweeting about the Olympic opening ceremony." I'm like, "Opening ceremony? You got to turn it on."
Yeah.
But otherwise, no. I mean, when you're on holiday like that, especially for people who live in Sweden,
sure,
like you turn off the email. You don't check anything.
Right.
You don't care about Slack messages or any of that.
Yeah.
So like you can essentially forget what day it is.
Yeah. How nice is that?
I know. So nice. Such a nice feeling. Weird feeling, but a nice feeling.
Hey, I wanted to go ahead and clarify for people or make one clarification because a lot of people talk about and they bring up Sweden 5 weeks of vacation a year. You know, everybody gets 5 weeks of paid vacation a year. And this is true if you are employed full time. You get 5 weeks of paid vacation a year.
Yes.
I just want to clarify this because we self-employed people that have, say, run your own company, we don't have 5. We can have 52 weeks of vacation if we'd like. It's just that nobody's compensating us for
Yes, that is true. It's called, I'm not going to hustle for this week. And sometimes it's needed. But like the unique thing is that I think, at least on the East Coast, like having lived in Philadelphia for several years, that there's a lot of Italians there. So you get to learn like through the grapevine of like, even the Jersey Italians or the Philadelphia Italians, like in August, they all go on vacation, and that just becomes a known thing.
Right.
Like no one's there. And in Sweden, it's July.
Yeah.
And no one's here in July. And even if you're doing freelance work, like the clients that you're doing freelance stuff for, they're like, in June, they're like, okay, so we'll pick this up in August.
Exactly.
And you're like, wait, let's talk about a few more things. Let me throw a couple more hours in here.
Exactly.
No, because July is barren.
Yeah, no, but it's the first time that I have felt like where that became really obvious, because when we first moved here, while I was looking for work, I went ahead and started my company again. So I'm doing freelance, design work, and I found a couple of clients. And I got here June 6th. I got here, I arrived June 6th, and I was like, da, da, da. And they were like, okay, we'll see you end of August, beginning of September. Yeah. But this was one of those summers, now, because I've been employed full time one way or another, through various employers for years and years and years now, and then relaunched my business about 2 years ago. So, this was one of those summers where I'm like, okay, I'm going to take 2 weeks. We have another week coming up in a couple of weeks, but 2 weeks. But even if, I go ahead and say I'm only going to take 2 weeks of vacation because I need to go ahead and generate some money and, get some clients and stuff, it doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. They're not there. They're not answering the phone.
It doesn't matter.
They sure are answering emails. They're not even looking at emails. They're like, who?
Yeah.
New phone. Who this?
Yeah. So I need to get some. I need to get some stateside clients. That's what I need.
Yeah. Because, it's a tricky balance. Have one or two for the summer months, but when it's like middle of nowhere, July,
right?
And they're like, okay, so when can I have an update? Be like, bro, it's July. Come on, just chill out. No one's doing anything.
Yeah.
Like, oh yeah, you're from the States. Oh yeah.
Yeah. I'm on Swedish summertime. Yeah.
Completely.
A couple of things. One thing that I wanted to get out there is to wish my son a happy birthday. And I'm going to do it today, though his birthday is tomorrow because it's probably coming up. So
Leos.
There you go. So I'd like to go ahead and give him a quick birthday shout out, and then to also let people know that the next 2 coming episodes are going to be guest episodes, and we have some exciting. We're not going to reveal now. That'll people have to go ahead and wait. But I have been working a little bit in the wings, so we do have some good stuff lined up.
Yes.
Which brings me to my Skechers story.
I feel like this whole episode has been a build-up to this point. I'm ready. I'm primed and I'm ready.
Okay, so I just want to bring this up. I like Skechers shoes. I've liked Skechers shoes for a while, and I just think they're really comfortable. They're light, and stuff.
There's a big butt hanging out there somewhere.
Hey, wait till you see the size of this butt. No, so I buy the Skechers shoes. I think it was actually, I know exactly when it was. It was May 12th. I'm thinking, okay, I'll have some kicks ready for the summer. I'm doing this stuff, right? So we're taking our walks. We're down at Aarhus. We're doing we're out taking 5K walks every day. I'm going to tie my shoe while we're down there. And all of a sudden I'm like, there's something kind of weird here. And it is the tongue of the shoe. The part that's underneath the laces.
It's the tongue of the shoe.
The tongue of the shoe, right. So that thing is torn loose somehow. So it just kind of flips up over.
So it's like a free-floating tongue.
It's a free-floating tongue.
How does this happen?
I have
How tight are you tying your shoes?
It wasn't that. I mean,
how aggressive are these 5K walks? My God, man.
Yeah, I mean, I was really laying into it. The Olympics were coming up. I was I
know. You're like, what's it? Zion Williamson exploding out of his shoes, exploding out of the Skechers.
Yeah, I mean, I got, my friendly coconut climbers. I mean, I got no, I got no big deal. But anyway, so I'm thinking Skechers. You know, I mean, Skechers is a pretty big company, right? I've only had the shoes for, I'm going to say 2 months, a month and a half, 2 months.
Wow. So
But-
yeah, it's got to be a production thing.
I'm thinking, right? So first I contact the company via the website. I'm like, I'll go in, I'll just find out. Obviously there's something wrong. They'll give me some, some new kicks, or I'll do something to go ahead and exchange these. So they said, no, you have to go into the Skechers store, which is where I bought them in Stockholm. I went into the store, picked the shoes, and went in. So I went into Skechers and showed them. They're like, "Oh, what's wrong?" So I took off and I was like, "Well, I got this magic shoe," and I flipped the tongue out over the top of the shoe, and they're like, "Yeah, it's not supposed to do that." And I was like, "Oh, fig, you think so?" So he says, yeah. That's.
I'm a lifelong shoe wearer. I
Right.
know this already.
Exactly. And they said, yeah, that really shouldn't be doing that. Yeah, that's a problem. And I was like, yeah, it is kind of a problem.
Why do I feel like you've taken your shoes to a shady auto mechanic?
Yeah,
It's not supposed to do that, but hey,
Well-
let me tell you, you put me in touch with your insurance company. I'll get you a good deal.
Hey, kind of, because she said that, and I don't know. I mean, what do you call like a shoe repair place? Like a cobbler? I don't even know if you call them
Yeah,
cobblers
cobbler.
anymore. Like a cobbler. They said, yeah, if you take it, they'll just go ahead and sew that right back on. And I was like, wait a minute, my shoes are only like 2 months old. And I said, I live in Nynäshamn, which is like, halfway to Germany from Stockholm. But so I go up there and she was like, yeah, just go ahead and take it someplace, get it fixed, bring us the receipt, and then we'll reimburse you.
No. You give me a new pair of shoes and you figure out why these shoes exploded in the first place. This is how it works.
But that was kind of a funky situation. So I go ahead and put my shoe on, very careful to make sure that everything is centered before I tie it into place. And then I walk. So I'm thinking,
this is like you and the button again, the white iPhone button, all over again.
Right, but I'm thinking, okay, I know that there actually is a cobbler still down here in Nynäs. But what are the chances of me finding anybody to sew anything in July?
Even if you sew it, it's a shoe. Sewing the tongue back onto the shoe isn't good. It's buying time for the inevitable.
Yeah, I don't
pop back off again.
I just got to say I'm really surprised. I'm disappointed that I wasn't able to resolve this other than spending time on the website, going to the store. And then they said, "Well, bring the physical receipt with you." And I was like, "Well, I bought the shoes
The physical receipt?
Yeah.
You don't even take cash money in this country. You want a physical receipt?
Dude, I don't even think the receipt made it out of the store with me. I mean, I'm thinking, and I know that after a month, it was like, you don't have the receipt left. I was like, I tell you what, as soon as I emptied the garbage can.
Yeah, exactly. Who has the receipt for anything?
Yeah.
Within 3 days. That's how long a receipt lasts maximum.
And they said that even if you have like your bank statement that shows the transaction, yeah, that's not good enough. You got to have the receipt. So anyway, I just wanted to to let you know what was happening in my life while you were, cobbling around.
So not
Portugal.
to downplay potential sponsors of the podcast, but Skechers Stockholm.
Hey, wait, and if you see me hobbling around Stockholm with one shoe,
There's Rodney. Next month he's gonna be one of the guys in Tia Central and
exactly.
hey, I need some coins to fix my shoe.
Be like, look, check out the guy with his tongue hanging out.
Oh my god.
Yeah, so,
and he's got spam falling out of his back pocket. What's going on with this guy?
Exactly. And he's starting to yell at buses. Hey,
hey, don't pick up the cobblestones. They'll come after you.
Exactly.
All right, listener land, that is it for this week's episode. As always, thank you so much for tuning in, and thank you to Thiago in Portugal for the tips. It was an amazing time, amazing stay, amazing country. Any listeners out there, I highly recommend both Lisbon and Porto. It's amazing. Maybe not Porto with the strollers, but you can get around. It's worth the trip. As always, be sure to leave a review, hit that like button in whatever app you're using, subscribe, all that good stuff, and then come back here next time for more Two Guys, Three Crowns.